Education policies don't change without powerful social movements that organize for change, that do things like shift narratives, that make a new common sense about a particular topic, that transform the political context in which these policy-making decisions are being made. So most of us either came up, taught, or part of this most recent era of education reform, which can be described as an era of corporate education reform. We've seen waves of many school closings. This accompanied a change in demographics of CPS and an overall decline in the student population, but also they were building those schools at a time when the population was already declining.
What you'll never hear in any of their discourse is the structural inequity that makes our schools struggle in the first place.
But we know that those institutions tend to be punitive to folks, especially Black folks, and Native and Indigenous people, and undocumented people, and so on, right?
Chicago also has continued this history and legacy of very powerful movements that have pushed back against this. So youth-led and intergenerational struggles for police-free schools and away from punitive ideas of discipline, multiple hunger strikes in the city for schools and school buildings in Little Village and at Diet, massive pushback against school closings.
We did sit-ins at the mayor's office for 2 days. We chained ourselves to the statue outside the mayor's office, right? We bird dogged, all that stuff.
It doesn't matter which one of us get the credit. Just know that we were all in there getting it done, and it got done.
We have to shape how those institutions operate.
Today, immigrants are being hunted. Their right to be as human beings is being challenged, not only challenged, but assaulted. That has been a reality for Black people since we have been in this country. And we're not playing Oppression Olympics. What we're saying is all of that comes from the same source.
When there's education cuts, when their immigration is invading our communities, they don't view it as, okay, we're just going after community. They view it as it's a double-edged sword, and they're swinging in both directions.
BPNC was a part of those community orgs that were really pushing to have sanctuary school policies that protected students against ICE. We worked with a local high school sororio to really develop those, and also worked with CPS Legal to develop some of those policies.
There would still be police in Chicago public schools today without the organizing work that happened on the ground for many years by young people, by some of our young elders.
The board wanted to remove the police 100%. We had a mayor, the mayor wanted to not remove the police 100%.
So they put JV in the middle.
And I'm right in the middle. So everybody on this side hated me, everybody on this side hated me, so I'm right in the middle. And so what do we always do? We said, let's center the voices of those the most affected by this.
I think this idea of going to the ground for funders and thinking about the folks who actually are closest to the harm, who are closest to the ideas and possibilities for an otherwise way of being in education, be that educators, be that parents, foremost be that students, right, is really important.
Young people deserve to have a voice. That's how we have to interact with each other. That's how we have to engage with each other.
At the end of the day, the elements of how you develop and organize with young people stays the same. How you deliver it may be a little different.
It talked about young people wanting to have a seat at the decision-making table, to be able to actually shape things that affect their lives.
I feel like I found my voice, and I felt like the advocacy that I didn't know that I had. Like, I never seen myself being a youth advocate, especially for people my age.
I think holistic safety is also, it's both about safe schools and safe communities, and it's also about having spaces where young people can feel joy, feel dignity, as well as belonging.
And I want to make a point of this because I think sometimes, particularly for the folks in the room who are constantly fighting, these movements shifted public education, not just here in Chicago, but nationally.
Because Chicago, again, has not gatekept and made great relationships all over the country saying, hey, this is what we're doing here. We have you doing these kind of things. We also want to uplift and kind of high five other youth organized things that are happening across the country.
There are many different ways we can take action, but at the end of the day, our participation is what is going to change the world, right? And we do that one step at a time.